After discovering the body of Jonathan Fowler in their domain, it was a desiccated husk, the Coterie take his remains to Yanis's haven, not that there's many left, as well as contacting the Camarilla to inform them of Jonathan's fate. The Coterie then deliberates what to do next. Nandazal believes that refugee Tremere Oscar Cantor might be involved. Back at the Coterie's HQ, all refugees are notified of the death of a Camarilla Ventru in the domain. Annie has been struggling to find a place to fit in, but Nandazal is quick to reassure her that there's a place for her in Bristol outside the Camarilla. Perhaps with Yanis's Children of the Summer, they seem to be growing at quite a rate nowadays. Carl writes a farewell poem to Jonathan's memory. Yanis makes sure that there are no other magical effects remain in the crime scene. Trisha, the Camarilla hound, rudely shows up in the domain and demands information on the case from Yanis. Fellow Toreador Susanna Willoughby, the sire of Gareth Davies, contacts Carl and asks him a favour related to her child's death.
Won't be long because the
Hello, welcome to this. Welcome to Blood on the Severn, a Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle set in Bristol, England in the year 2012. With me tonight,
Bex playing Nandazal the Ministry.
Peter playing Janusz Kroll of Clan Chmica.
Josh playing Carl Frederic Saint-Jacques de Taureau of Clan Toreador.
Alice playing Matilda Wells of Clan Ventru.
apologies for the delay. As you can see, we have a new layout. If you're listening on the podcast, then you cannot see it, but also you're not mad at us because you did not wait. Basically,
It's a community layout.
yeah, basically we have a new layout that we're going for, and also sorting out, making sure that none of the issues we had last week were present today, and hopefully ever.
Yeah.
Also,
Well, basically, members of the cult get their own camera. So if anybody else gets in the cult, they got to go in there.
Once
that
again,
view.
it's not a cult. Community. Keep quiet, please.
also, I want to give a massive shout out to all of those supporters of the backdrop. A lot of people that were showing their love and saying we believe in you. I must say that we have retrieved the safety pins that are required for it to stay there the whole stream. So likely it's gonna fall on my head at some point due to some other unforeseen circumstance. As you heard Hubert on our episode 5 recap, we left our last episode with a conversation that Carl had with fellow Toreador Susanna Willoughby, sire of Gareth Davis, the victim of the assassination that happened earlier. Good friend of Ruby, for those who remember that little conversation she had with Matilda at her flat. And she mentioned that any information that you could get on the case, the investigation of the case of her child, will be repaid in kind with any help that she can provide. You do know of her. You do not know her directly. You do know that she is, at the very least, an ancilla that was in very good standing with the autarchies. And you have heard of her work, usually things that are steam work or mechanized, that type of, the cogs and things moving around. She has that sort of bent to her. So let's dive right into that. What does Carl do after that conversation?
Carl goes to bed because it's pretty much dawn now.
Yes.
But being Carl, he remembers it a lot better than I, as a player, would, and and may well the next dusk let the rest of the coterie in on it. And when I get back to the HQ from my haven, I'll check who else is there. I'll probably, as I mean, probably got an open arrangement to meet there first thing because we're not allowed to use our phones at the moment or whatever, and still haven't got carrier pigeons organised even this late on. So yeah, if everybody's there, I mean, if they are, then I'll talk to them about what Susanna said.
Yes, because it was the end of the night when you got the call. It was for you. It was about a little over an hour before dawn, but by that time you had already arrived at your haven downtown.
Yeah, I took the
Bristol
call on
Vic.
the stage of the Bristol Vic.
Yeah.
So
I remember that.
I've got no time to get back to tell anybody what went on because.
Okay, so
you know,
I think the first thing I have to ask of you guys would be to please make rouse checks for you waking up. Don't worry, Bex, I got you covered.
Favoritism.
Have you got me covered as well?
I could. You want me?
Well, you know, now that we're in community cam,
Yeah.
I feel that if you're gonna cover her, you should cover me.
That doesn't.
That's the rules.
That's not the rules, Peter. That's not the rules. But
I'm hungry.
so Janice and Carl go hungry. Nanjasil does not. She's successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, never.
Bottom of the first page, rouse. It's just a rouse check.
No, it's just not wanting. It's not just not letting me
I
press.
can't
The
afford
Oh,
to be hungry.
so it's going
I wanna
to.
go hunger through
it's
do
gonna-
you mind rolling for me?
Yes. I mean,
Thank you.
We can make this an automated roll system where the storyteller
Carlos,
rolls
I need
everything.
to eat.
You need to eat. Oh, Matilda does.
Oh, I think I did it.
Yes, you did it.
Yeah.
You succeed. You do go
Oh,
hungry.
sweet.
Nanjicel, do you need to eat? You're at hunger 3. You were at hunger 3 the previous night. Actually, you've been very lucky that you did not
Correct.
go further hungrier into the
I don't need
realms
to eat
of
like right this minute,
hunger
but it is a
4.
thing that needs to happen tonight.
Yes. Janice is still at hunger 1 because he succeeded on his.
Oh, I
rouse check.
succeeded.
I think so.
you
No,
said-
sorry. It was Nanjicel. You are at hunger 2. Sorry.
Yeah. So that means that Janusz will probably go and talk to Wendy about, the last time she baked that incredible cake for
Okay.
the thing and relive that experience with her.
Okay.
You know how it
So the first part of the night you're going to dedicate just to engage with one of your supplicants, members of the Children of Summer.
Yeah.
The Children of Summer, and yes, she will actually say she will actually ask if she should be making plans right now, even though it's a couple of months that it will be in a couple of months. Should we start making plans for the winter solstice and the celebrations around it? And it's usually more of an observation thing because it's less of a kupala and more of a let's enjoy life for some reason. And of course, the reason because nights are the longest in the winter, and the winter solstice is the longest night. So for you, it's a time of astonishing celebration in which you come from the waters at like 4 in the afternoon or 5 when the sun is down. So
yes, well, Janusz will be, of course, saying, yes, Wendy, I think that is most wise. And I would very much like to hear what ideas you have for making preparations this year.
excellent.
We have much to celebrate.
Yeah, she
with
will
our
put.
new members and possibly, who knows, often a trickle comes before a deluge. So
She's really excited about this prospect of new members. She puts a couple of things in the table, and she shows you, and you, of course, look over her shoulder, feed. And then she's sad. She finds herself sad. And you holding her hand, it's like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I've been having this headache. I haven't been sleeping well. So you ask Evelina to take her to one of the rooms so she can rest and recover before she can be taken home, because you're not letting her drive in that state. You're a responsible leader of your flock. But Janice does feel that he has to force himself to care for his flock, as if he were a little bit drained on that, as if he already had been doing it, as if he needed a reminder of it. Is that wanting to reconnect with that?
Yes. All right. Well, I will. Janusz will start thinking about arranging a visit to Father Michael. In that case.
Understood. What is Matilda doing when
I believe she's at Hunger 2 at the moment. So
she is.
Yeah, so she'll probably, like Yanis, have a little bit of a snack. So she'll go to one of sort of her student, well, like the bar that she normally goes to, that she knows that some of her peers will also be at, and yeah, just socialize for a little bit.
Which is simple enough. I mean, for all of you, this is the easy part. When if you're feeling a little peckish, especially when you have been calling upon the blood for certain things, having a herd, or at least the semblance of a herd, is always useful. So you find yourself at the top of Park Street, probably around the Weatherspoons, near the uni area, and yeah, I see you smiling, and I think you recognize the place, and you can see it in your head. Yeah, you're probably you go from that very nice and very roomy Weatherspoons, that has great areas inside, very open, very spacious. It's always crowded, even with all that space, and then a very good beer garden. So you find some of the students that are sort of regulars there from your groups. Of course, there's a little bit of dodging people from the sports community.
See them all like doing shots or shouting or whatever, like on the table, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go somewhere else.
Yes, you just dodge them, go to your guys, and propose just to have a walk. Just walk to the Triangle or something, and party around there. And of course, on the way, you make it so that you have your little snack, get to the Triangle, maybe have a beer. But by nights are getting longer, you are there pretty early at around 7. By 9:30, you are all of you that are engaging with your herd or doing personal admin. It's pretty clear that you have it. Carl, what is
breaking into someone's house to eat? Just FYI.
Oh, you're breaking into someone's house to eat.
Yeah, in a totally non-creepy way, but not anyone who's in the neighborhood watch, because that would be too ironic even for me.
Yes, that would be a little too much. So I'm
But somewhere in the domain, there must be somebody with poor security or even reasonable security that I can deal with.
Okay, are you gonna be using your disciplines in any way?
I mean, if I feel I need to, yeah. I mean,
so I'm gonna ask of a roll that I'm gonna have to do myself for you to break in.
I'm loving this new setup.
Which is going to be we'll get around it. The technical difficulties it will end, and you will be able to roll your own dice on Roll20. But yes, I think it's going to be. I'm doing this roll is basically because you're at Hunger 3.
Yes.
And anything, a failed rouse check for you trying to use Unseen Passage and Obfuscate, for example, or Rouse in the Blood, for extra dice in your check, can push you over that. And then at Hunger 4, you have all the risks of failed frenzy checks, hunger frenzy, and the like. So since there is the possibility of that happening, and it's no small possibility, I'm gonna have you roll your dexterity plus your larceny. You know very well the area, and basically look for a suitable place where lighting is not as good as in other areas. It is well kept, sort of the surrounding streets are well kept, so some neighbors are feeling a little bit more relaxed. They only have like a simple latch on the door to the back garden. Sometimes they don't close the door to the back garden that goes into their houses. Of course, it takes you a little time just to identify which house has people already going to bed or going to bed early, or the household of the one person that might be, napping. You find such a place with very little difficulty. It's a place that it seems to be a place where multiple people live, but at this point there is only one person in the house. It is a woman. You can smell the food that she has cooked, and she was dozing, in front of the couch, but basically the TV was watching her because she was fast asleep, probably waiting, as you can see from the setup on the table, waiting for at least 2 more people. So you know that you have to make a quick in and out.
Okay, yep.
You feed without hurting her, and then you leave. Carl?
Well, seeing as how everybody else is, I may as well too. I will make my way upstairs to the theatre bar. Now, I imagine, it's October, isn't it? So
yes.
Probably around about 5 p.m. people are getting off work and just hanging out there a bit. And I'll find someone who's a bit of a fan and just ask them for a private word. And we can discuss some of my latest work, and there will be some feeding involved at some point.
Yes. So the good thing about living in making life and work in the Bristol Old Vic and in the surrounding areas is that which are the pubs and bars that people will frequent, and that same group of people also frequent other places like the Bristol Hippodrome, and that's where you find yourself walking towards, well, not that far away, in the drawbridge, in the pub that is right next door to the Hippodrome, having a nice drink, and then having a chat, maybe discussing whether or not to go to Smokes and Mirrors or something around the corner where Carl can have a quick and quiet feed from this sort of itinerant herd of his, because there's always someone who has seen some of his work around. Not every night,
sure,
but with a little bit of patience, you manage to make the acquaintance of one such person, and after a quick feed and in a very gentle let off.
How terribly interesting you are, and that you're interested in me. I mean, honestly, who would have thought it? Yes.
So I am guessing at around 8-ish, 9-ish, everybody is fed. Everybody's hunger is down to one, with the exception of Nanjacel. Nanjacel, would you feed off for 1 or 2? Would you slake 1 or 2 hunger?
Well, I mean, 2 if I can get away with that. But you said I need to be fast, so if you
you need to be wary that someone might drop. So someone might arrive home.
Sorry, someone might what?
Arrive home.
Oh, someone might arrive home. Yes, yeah.
Because there was food.
If I'm being cautious about that, then I'll just drink the 1.
Just drink the 1, okay. Keeping you at hunger 2. Excellent. So I believe you said, Josh, that Carl would be going to the headquarters, back to the HQ.
Yeah, go and see how the other Camarilla members are. I'm worried about Annie.
Okay.
And I'm worried about all of them really. Clarence and Annie are the 2 that I've
the closest
more than the others. But obviously, I want to being an excellent host, or at least attempting to be. I want to make sure that they're all comfortable, and given what went on last night, that they're all as at ease as possible, I guess.
Okay. You are probably one of the first ones to arrive straight there. Because it's sort of like a short trip for you. Public transportation from the center is readily available. So in front of Colston Tower or any other area, you can just grab a bus and you are within 10-15 minutes in Lockleys. You're back in the HQ. Clarence is delighted to see you because this is one of the nights. I mean, last night they were with the rest of the Camarilla. They're not supposed to go there until at least tomorrow or the day after.
Right.
So this is one of those nights that they spend, the four of them, in the four walls of the basement. Or, well, walking up and down the stairs.
Okay. Well, I mean, they're welcome to go upstairs into the,
the communal area,
into the communal areas, and
which they
living
do.
them
Which they do,
upstairs.
especially Laura and Oscar. They sit down there watching television. Specifically, they watch the news. They try to keep things relevant. Any particular thing you want to do with it? Any particular conversation you would like to have, or
Well,
just checking up on them?
I want to go down and talk to Annie about the vision that I had of Nanjazal nearly blowing up, basically.
Okay, so when you go downstairs, Clarence is reading a book, so you'll probably have a small conversation, like chit chat with him.
Sure.
And are you going to discuss this in the presence of Clarence, or would you just
Probably
go upstairs?
Not. Probably not. If there's nobody, I'll find a room where there isn't anybody. Maybe the costume room.
The costume room. Okay.
Would be good. Yeah, because I just wanted. I'll just say hi, Annie. Can I have a word? Something I wanted to share with you that I didn't want to share with everybody else, really.
Okay. And she grabs her shark plush toy and follows you to the costume room.
Okay.
She now she has like a hoodie that she definitely took from the costume room. It's about 3 sizes larger. So it's like hilarious looking at her walk around in it.
Okay.
When
That's
she
fine.
lifts the hoodie down, if she put a belt in her waist, the hoodie could work both as a vest and a skirt. Like, it's that big on her.
Okay. That's excellent. Well, I will say, as I'm speaking, I'm looking, I'm flicking through costume rails, finding little accessories, maybe the odd badge,
Okay.
a belt, as you say, little things to dress her up to make it as chic as possible, given that it looks ridiculous.
Yes, exactly.
And
Okay.
kind of offering those to her with my artist's eye, but also saying, Annie, I wanted to talk to you about a vision I had last night, because it was really helpful, and I know that what we spoke about before, you felt that your visions were more of a curse.
They tend to be, yes.
Whereas I had one yesterday that was really, well, it saved Nanj.
She's
I don't know.
She's nice. I like her.
Yeah, me too. She's one of my best friends. It's I don't think it saved her from death, but it saved her from being burnt or blown up or something.
That wouldn't kill her. Wow, she's tough.
She's really tough. But I just wanted to say, I remember when we had that vision together.
She stares at the floor.
Do you think it would be possible to do that again?
Perhaps.
Because
How do you connect with your visions?
I just relax. And I just kind of disappear inside myself. And then sometimes I'm able to drift into a space where I see or hear something. I am inspired, I think. That's what it seems like to me. It's as if I'm trying to create something artistically, but then I get transported somewhere else. Sometimes it's about what I'm trying to create, and sometimes it takes me beyond that space. But that's what it's like for me. What about for you?
I don't call them the visions, because they always show me ugly things. So that's why I'm asking. I don't know. I don't know how to do it quite well on my own. It just happens.
Well, I can try and have a vision now and hold your hands, and then maybe you'll see it as well if you concentrate on what I'm doing, and it may not be awful. It might be worth a try.
What are we trying to look at?
Well, I think what we really want to find out is who is responsible for the death of this poor man yesterday.
Wouldn't it be easier if we were in the place?
You may be right.
Nan Giselle mentioned something along those lines yesterday.
Well, she may have got hold of something. I know that we took his remains as well, so that's a possibility. But yes, in the space where he was, but I don't know that he was killed there. He may have just been taken there after his death.
Well, maybe we could see between the two of you, the two of us.
Maybe it's worth a try. That's all I thought.
Let's try it.
Okay. Well, should we wait for the others? Because they won't know where we've gone. Because obviously we're not allowed to use our phones, so we could leave a message. But
when do you think that will end? When we'll be able to use our phones?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's it's very bad to use them because if that's how security was breached in London, wasn't it? That's how they managed to get to work out exactly what everything was, how people were. Whereas here, of course, nobody using their phones. They'll have to do something else if they want information.
They're blaming the Nosferatu for that.
They're blaming the Nosferatu.
And I don't think that's fair.
I kind of think it probably is because they're so ugly, but I don't say that.
Okay.
Okay. I say, I don't really know any Nosferatu, so I don't really know what they're like, if they're trustworthy, to be honest.
Let's wait, because Nan Giselle said that she wanted to go there with Janice. But maybe if the two of us, if you promise to hold tight and not let go of me,
I will.
I can.
And I think probably
try.
if the closer we are, the more likely we are to. Because last time we were holding hands, and that was what made us see the same thing. So I think a physical closeness is worth trying again.
Mm-hmm. Let's try that.
Okay. Well, we'll wait for the others to arrive.
Sure.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Matilda, what do you do after you have your cheeky feed? You are in the triangle and also muted. No, not muted anymore.
Okay, yeah. Did Nanj give us burner phones? What was that?
Nancy,
If Carl says I can have done, then I will have done.
you had burner phones that you could give them, but it would
Except
be
for
tonight.
Janov, because he doesn't.
Except for Yanis, but
Like PA.
you do have burner phones that you could give the Coterie, but it would have to be
today. Okay,
tonight
so you don't have them
because
now.
you didn't have them
Okay.
on you.
Yep, fair enough.
That's fine. Yeah, okay. In that case, she would probably head to HQ
Cool.
as well. Yeah.
Excellent. So you are the second to arrive. When you get there, you see Annie and Carl having a conversation upstairs with the rest. Actually, everybody except Clarence is upstairs. Annie is just chatting with Carl, asking him, like, how did he know? Like, she looks like a very cute girl on an overgrown hoodie, but it's sort of fashionista style. It's like she doesn't look like a wreck. She just is that intentionally overly cute, careless style, but it looks like that there's some effort into it. And she's asking things like, how did you know that this could go well with that? You know, it's like things like that. Even though he's not a fashion expert, you can see the eye for beauty in it. Laura seems to be very annoyed by that conversation because she has some wrist. How do you call it? Is it something that goes on the wrist that has like chimes?
Bracelet.
Bracelet, because English. So she has like a little bracelet that has little bells and stuff, and it jingles, and when she moves her hand. And you realize that she tends to shake her hands a lot when she's excited. And Laura is like just subtly, very passive aggressively, ups the volume of the TV one pit. And then you come in around and you lock the door behind you, and then she just ups it one more. It's like trying to make a point. Oscar is just there, completely silent.
I'll go to the actual like TV itself, where there's like a volume button on the side, and turn it down to. So it's a bit loud.
There is a very long stare at the screen, and she says, "Apologize," and then leaves the remote. Oscar does pick up what you did, but he kind of smirks at that, but not in a way that she would notice. A few moments later, maybe 5-10 minutes later, Clarence shows up again with his book, realizes that it's a little bit of a full house, comes back with a folding chair, and sits there while people are just calmly chatting. Not long later. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, if at a point where it seems like Carl and Annie are reaching the end of their conversation, Matilda probably sidle up to them.
That's pretty unlikely, to be honest.
All right.
Given that Annie's
she'll wait for a while.
letting me use her as a doll.
Yes.
Once I've accessorized her outfit sufficiently, I'm getting the stage makeup out. And,
God,
Yeah.
I'll go up to her and be like,
yeah.
what are you doing to the poor girl?
She's
Well, I
making
think
me
she
look
looks-
pretty. And she's like with her eyes closed as Carl applies shade to her eyelids. Or shadow, or however you call it in English.
I apply shades more to Matilda, probably. No, yeah. And eyeshadow too.
That one.
Yes. And yeah, but it's very subtle. I mean, it's not like it's
Very
not,
soft,
It's not
pastel
Elizabeth
tones.
Taylor
It's not
as
like
Cleopatra.
panto
no.
makeup.
No, it's not. She's not. Yeah, I'm not making her up as an ugly sister. Yeah, it's subtle, but it looks good. I mean, I know what I'm doing. So.
Clarence at some point turns around and he says, "Annie, girl, you look absolutely delightful." And she seems to, like, you can see her in her expression. If she had used blush of health, she would have blushed, as in taking the compliment. That's when Janus and Nanjasil arrive, because they arrive on foot because they don't have a car. But now the coterie is in full in HQ, together with all your guests.
So when we arrive, I'll say, right?
Yes.
Just to the room. Yeah. Walk in.
Yeah, not bad. What were you up to this morning? This evening? Early evening. What have you been doing?
I'll eat, but it's done now.
We were just enjoying the sights of Bristol on our walk here.
Well, some people can enjoy those sights, says Laura, as she
What did you say?
longingly look out the window.
I can't hear you over that racket.
She turns around and says, like, it would be good if we were to also go out every once in a while. This being locked inside, only going out once a week, twice a week to our Camarilla territories it's a little too much sometimes, if I'm honest.
Yes, you're correct, of course. It is a terrible thing not to be able to enjoy the outdoors.
But sooner you get gone, the sooner you won't have the problem, innit?
Arrangements are being made. Preparations. They take time.
Time is something we all have, and I'm sure in the future you'll be able to enjoy those freedoms again. But for now, it is your safety that is the most important thing.
And ours, and the safety of everyone. However, I had thought a little outing might possibly be of use.
What
I
sort
don't
of
know
outing?
what you think, Yanis, but it seemed to me that Oscar seeing the scene of the crime might be helpful. And also, I was talking to Annie about potentially going there and attempting to have a vision with her to see if that might help.
I was talking to Annie about that yesterday.
Yeah, I told him, and now that Carl has explained to me what we could do together, I'm willing to give it a try. If I
It's
can
good
help.
makeup, by the way. Did you decide to put that on?
Carl has helped me.
Yeah, but did you decide? I'm sure he can help you.
Well, I didn't have my makeup with me, so.
She means, was it your choice to wear the makeup?
Oh yes, he asked if I wanted,
good.
and he started. Yes.
Oh, well, Carl, I think it is a good idea for us to take this outing.
Yeah.
I
we may
believe
as well
that we need to move with some haste.
But we may as, I mean, I don't know. Clarence, if you wish to come as well, I'm sure.
Anything to
Wait a minute,
stretch
wait a
my
minute. We're
legs.
inviting everyone, isn't we?
Sorry?
Well, it sounds like it, yeah.
We're inviting everyone. What's the need of it? I can understand why he's inviting Annie, because she might have a vision. I can even understand why he's inviting Oscar, because it looks like it was his lot what did it, right? But the other two, why can't they stay here? Just asking.
Well, I don't think we should be playing favourites, do you?
It ain't favourites, it's about who's useful and who's not.
Well, that's true. But then
An extra
I know
pair
that,
of eyes is always useful, my dear Nan Giselle. Says
Hey,
Clarence,
dear.
trying to be super charming, but of course it doesn't work with Lange.
no. But you must remember, although Clarence is a debonair man about town, of course,
We already
reminiscent
got one of
of
those in our group.
well, quite. But he's also of an outdoorsy sort of a clan who may be able to spy out something.
We have already had an extra pair of eyes from one of his clan, indeed from the Camarilla last night.
Well, it's true.
And despite their lack of manners and observance of the proper forms, they did make certain observations that I feel you should know about.
Who is this clansmate of mine you are referring to?
Trisha, I think her name was. One of the hounds of the
Patricia,
something
yes.
or other of the Camarilla.
Yes. She's very rough around the edges, and I would understand why people who know only her would stereotype my whole clan. So I understand.
I do not mean to tar you with that brush.
Oh,
Her behavior is her own.
regardless, I apologize in the name of the gangrel.
What did she
Well,
say
in
to you?
any case, she had observed that it is likely, from the manner of the tracks and the position of things, that the act occurred upon our soil.
Laura says, well, how does that work in this city?
She was a little confused as well. I'm sorry, Carl, I didn't catch what you said. This box.
I
walk over and turn
I
off the
was just
television.
saying that it was a very interesting thing. You walk over and do what? Sorry.
It
I
turns
walk
off.
over and turn
The
off the television.
telly.
Ah, that's better. Now I can think more clearly. I'm so sorry, Carl. What were you saying?
I was saying that it was interesting that because we had thought perhaps that the body had been dumped there rather than killed there, but if the deed was actually done there, then that would make it even more worthwhile. I would have thought that Annie and I attempt a vision on that site.
Exactly.
That's what I thought yesterday.
Yes. This means that not
You
only
know
was
all
it
about
done,
these
it
visions,
was
do
done
you,
on our domain.
Naj? What do you know of visions, Naj? Is that
What
an
do I know of
expertise of yours?
visions?
Yeah, I was wondering if you know, if you seem to be know things that you haven't told me before about them. So I was wondering if you knew anything else.
No. What I know about it is that it seemed to me sensible that, or likely, given what you've said and what Annie said, if he was in the same place, or if he was in the place where it happened, you might have some kind of vision related to that. I don't call that knowledge about visions, I just call it common sense.
Right. Okay.
We should make our way, and I'll turn to Oscar and say, and indeed your eyes in the area might be useful, though of course I have removed the befouling of our domain, so it may be difficult for you to see exactly what has been done, but I can show you where the marks were and the effects.
I will study them and log them so I can report to my regent. And he looks at Laura, seeing that this is a multi-faction domain. I would assume that the four of you being the holders of this domain. And he's saying all of this while he looks at Carl. So basically, he's addressing the four of you by looking at Carl.
Okay.
So you being the ones who have the who hold this domain will hear the report firsthand.
Most kind.
But it is within the laws of our clan to report all unregulated use of blood sorcery that is related to the Tremere. Rogue Tremeres are quite dangerous.
Yes.
Am I to understand then that when you have observed the area, you will report to us, and then
And to my region, afterwards, yes.
Good. Good. Well, any information that we have would be useful. I do have some other information to tell you all as well. I received a phone call last night from Susanna Willoughby, who is was the sire of Gareth Davis, who died nights back. And she was under the impression my phone rang and she told me that it was a safe line. So I wasn't 100% happy with that, but she told me that it was thought that these two deaths might be linked.
What? Our boy down the bottom of the well and this guy Gareth?
Yes.
Same person? Or just linked in some way? Not
May be
necessarily.
killed by the same person or may have something to do with each other's deaths. I'm not sure which. But she felt that there might be some conspiracy going on or serial killing.
But she didn't
or
say how
something.
she knew about this. Or what her line into it was.
Well,
She
said his-
let me know that she would be able to give us some help. And she is obviously a powerful member of our kind. And should we find anything out, then she would be able to help us.
How did she know about it?
Do you?
Sorry?
Well, it's,
How did she know about it? Who told her that I happened at
she's
all?
a sire, so I suppose that's what.
Hmm.
That's how she
Just
knows.
wondering about how long it takes information to spread versus when she phoned you up. So,
Was
Well, I
because we don't
have
have a
no idea.
suspect list.
It was earlier that evening that we discovered the body.
Annie asks, "Who is this Susanna?"
She is the sire of someone else who died a few nights ago.
How many people have been dying?
Well,
Two.
a lot died in London, didn't they?
Yeah, but I mean,
Well, two here.
in Bristol, it's 2.
2 so far. And Susanna thought that they might be linked, which again is a good reason, I think, that we should try and see something.
Then we should make our way and see what guidance we are given.
I absolutely and wholeheartedly agree, says Clarence as he stands up, gets a coat, opens the door for others.
You know what? We can't all fit in Matty's car, Clarence, so it looks like you're going to have to stay here.
I don't mind stretching my legs and having a bit of a walk all the way there, but I would need someone to guide me to our destination.
You know what? We didn't say you could leave, so doesn't matter who's guiding you because you're staying here. I'll stare at him. If he's staring at me, I'll stare
Yeah,
at him.
he's staring at you and saying, "I believe the 4 of you are the ones holding the main, and I heard at least one of you saying that we could go out. Why should I listen to you and not him?"
Well, 4 minus 1 is still 3, isn't it?
So to be clear, we discussed the needs of this investigation and that there are 2 people here who are required to go. That does not mean we are going to forget about the point of you being here in the first place. I understand that it's frustrating, but that is...
Most, but if that is the will of the owners of this domain, so be it.
Camarilla's all about domain, isn't it? Good job and all.
Yes, but at least we know how to handle it.
What?
And he
I
sits
do not
down.
follow your statement.
You better be careful what you say next, mate.
Or what?
Or you ain't gonna like what happens.
What, you're going to breach the laws of hospitality?
You might be already on the edge of doing that.
I've done nothing but speak my mind, which I believe is not against those rules. Am I correct, Yanis?
Speaking your mind is, of course, you're right. But if you intend to insult your host and their ability to manage their own domain...
It is not
that's
an
a serious
insult if
matter.
it's the truth. It's just me making an observation.
Well, that sounds like an insult to me.
Would
So
you
go
like
out
to?
so bad. Have you got something to contribute to the investigation? Because you're welcome to come if you think you can add something, but otherwise you're going to have to stay here.
Thank you for asking that way. I wouldn't have thought.
Wait a minute. This isn't finished yet. I've come here and trash how we handle this domain. There is a point that needs resolving.
I already
If you have a
spoke my mind.
grievance that you wish to raise with the way we manage this domain, then please raise it.
I believe I already had done it, and in the most polite way possible. We have not been let out, other than the times that the Camarilla is to take us feeding. We have followed every single rule and command that has been given to us. We've been staying in a basement and in this small place for weeks now, without a single complaint. You have not needed to take care of anything related to us. We have been basically invisible hosts. No burden on you.
This is why I suggested that everybody should be allowed to come.
The simplest of petition of letting someone stretch out their legs should not be met with the disrespect your autarkist friend is showing me.
It's my understanding that the reason you have been in this basement and the reason that your regular freedoms have been curtailed is because London was all but wiped out by a threat that none of you have been able to define. And as we do not know the nature of our enemy, and as there are people dying in this domain, it has been seen as prudent to not take any unnecessary risks.
But also no necessary additional security measures. We have been left in this place to stay in and out, to be night after night. Yes, you check up on us, but no one stays here, making sure that nothing happens to us during the daylight.
Because you have not seen it, do you believe we have done nothing?
I have looked out, and nothing has been done.
Do you think that you see everything that we do? Do you think you understand, even slightly, what I have done?
Prove me wrong.
I do not need to. And you had best remember that.
Understood. Under the laws of hospitality, I request you, demand even, to take me into the presence of the Master of Trade. Tonight. This instant. As he is the one who bartered my stay in this domain.
So quick check, Carlos.
Yeah, he's requesting him to be taken outside of your domain, as it basically is like into the custody of the person who put in him. So basically, he can do this.
Okay.
It's basically saying, I do not feel welcome. I want out of here, but I cannot storm out because that would imply walking across your domain, which is yours.
Yeah.
But he can demand to be taken.
Sure. Do I think this supersedes the urgency on the death? From Janish's point of view, of course, if this is honouring the ancient rites, then everything else is out the window.
Yes, it is tricky. Janus wouldn't be super sure of how that would work regarding other rules of hospitality. Okay. But this is someone that is saying, I do not feel welcome here, no matter how hospitable you might seem. There are people who are not being hospitable to me.
Okay. So I'll say to him, your request has been heard and of course will be honoured. You understand first, though, we must look into the matter of the diablerie. When we return, I will honour your request.
That is unacceptable.
Well, in that case, perhaps if you came with us.
I made that offering, and
I look at Yanis.
No, he looks at you and said, "I made that offering, and your companions burned that bridge."
That ain't that. It also is not the thing he's asking for now, is it? He's just asking to leave.
Yeah, he's asking to leave, which I believe is his right.
It is.
It is his right. It is his right. I'll look at the others. Do the rest of you feel the same?
What I feel is, we don't know anything about any of these people or make some trust.
Sorry, Janis is not asking
Mademoiselle.
He's asking the other guests if they feel the same as Oscar.
Laura,
Sorry, Clarence.
yeah.
Clarence.
Laura turns around and says, I do, but unlike Clarence, I do not have other places to stay here in this city until my arrangements for travel are finished. And Oscar says, absolutely. I feel the same way. We have been just left as furniture in these walls. Some effort has been done to accommodate, but when the simplest of requests is not met, we can gauge and understand the nature of our stay. We respect your domain, but we have been made feel less than welcome.
I'm sorry that you feel that way. I have at no time had anything but your welfare uppermost in my mind, except last night when I was called away to this diablerie. As you know, I have spent most of the evenings of your stay with you when you have been here and not been taken into the city to meet with other members of the Camarilla.
Yeah. And Oscar turns to you and says, you are not the person I mean to target with my complaints. Carl, you have been a gracious host to your fellow Camarilla. But to be accused, even if it's not directly, or in any way involved in what transpired just because of my clan or what it's done, is insulting. Being referred to as this lot, as your companion has referred to us in many occasions, is disrespectful and insulting.
To be fair, I think that's just the way she speaks.
And
She's right.
why,
That talks for everyone.
and why would I care for that? It doesn't matter if she speaks to that like that to everyone. I do not accept being told off like that, especially by the person who's offering me hospitality. But I cannot find another place as fast as Clarence can. Clarence is standing up and making his way downstairs.
Well, Janusz is not going to rush after him. So he's going to look at the other three and then say, I am to understand then that despite your unhappiness, you wish to remain for now.
For we have no other option, says Laura. So yes. And he says, I'm happy to stay here.
Good.
I'm glad to hear it.
Thanks, Annie.
I'm gonna go after Clarence.
It's not the moment you make your way downstairs, he's actually packing his few belongings in a big bag. So, while the conversation is, when he notices you come in, says, has the conversation upstairs finished? Are preparations being made to take me?
I can take you if you really want to, but I'm not sure it's the most sensible thing. I think you should stick it out here, to be honest. I understand that Janusz and Giselle have not been the most hospitable, but I hope you can understand that it's a tense time at the moment, and they are worried about the domain. They're worried about a great many things, and I'm sorry if it's been taken out on you.
Well, sadly, in all fairness, not all of you have been horrible, not all times.
That's great. What praise.
The four of you are some sort of mixed up domain rulers that I don't understand the nature, neither of your relationship nor of what is actually going on in this domain. There's no order. What rules apply here? Camarilla, Autarchis, Anarch? Bristol law, whatever that is.
It's a work in progress, I suppose. It's something that is being tested right now by what's going on. So I understand your frustration. We're not London. We're not as cut and dry as what you're used to. That doesn't mean that we're doing a bad job.
Perhaps you're right. And perhaps there's a lesson in this for me to learn about the different types of hospitality here in Bristol, and also the people and the factions. For I will make a formal petition to be a citizen of Bristol, of the Camarilla of Bristol. I find it an interesting proposition, especially because there's no leadership for my clan.
You're right, there's no leadership. I mean, you're in Bristol. You don't necessarily have to choose Camarilla if you don't want to.
I like order. I like things falling in a pattern. And I've never been an overly ambitious man. My only ambitions were to climb.
Sounds pretty ambitious to me.
It's different. It's by my own merit. I was an expeditionary. I would climb Everest, K2, Kilimanjaro.
All right.
I would fly around and try to conquer the mountain. And something that you'll learn when you're a climber is that once you reach the summit, you're only halfway there. For there's a trip back down. And it is humbling how after staying in the top, you must go back.
You're right, I don't know that. I don't understand that. But what I imagine is also true is in order to do a successful climb, you have to stay at base camp for a while. You have to get prepared. You have to wait it out.
Yes.
I mean, if this here is your base camp, if you fly off too quickly, sure, it's going to be the best. So people know that you've flown the coop here. They might think you're flighty.
This has been
saying.
more like the plane that takes me to base camp. I have met someone of the Camarilla who is willing to provide me shelter.
Can I ask who?
You could, but a gentleman never tells. There is the discretion. There is certain discretion that needs to be said, that needs to be kept. I wouldn't want to share this information until I have cleared it with this person. I do not know if they wish to be, if their involvement with any of the survivors of London is something they wish to be known. What if they would rather keep it under wraps?
What reason would they have to keep it under wraps? If they want to help, surely that would be something the Camarilla like to boast about.
Camarilla helping Camarilla would be no surprise. But your friend Nanjacel has short of accused Oscar outright of being the one responsible. And I believe the sentiment of the refugees having something to do with the deaths of other kindred or some other affairs that have been happening. I've heard of some poaching occurring in other areas, territorial border disputes. Things are getting heated out there, Matilda. You probably have heard this yourself. If not from your Anak friends, from others from your coterie.
Yeah.
Why would someone want to be involved with a refugee if the refugees are not being seen with under the best of lights?
If you want to go, you can go. I don't think it's a particularly good idea, but it's your own choice, and you should make it. I think...
Give me one
I
reason
think-
to stay. Not because it's sensible, not because it's a good idea, because sensible and good ideas are also staying in a place where I am wanted and where I will be treated fairly, or at least respectfully. So, what reason do I have to stay here in your domain?
Tell you that. You have to work it out for yourself. I would ask that you don't go tonight. I'd ask that you give it another night to think about.
And what am I supposed to do for the rest of the evening? Sit here in this house?
I am happy to take you and Laura out for a walk if that's what you'd like. Can we agree on that? If I take you out for a... That sounds... I didn't mean to phrase it like that. If we go out for a walk together, will you not leave tonight?
I could use that walk to think about it. I can tell you that.
Alright.
Cool.
What's the deal? Just put a hand out and shaking it.
He will shake your hand, but finish packing and put the neatly and very fastly packed bag on his bed. Matilda goes upstairs. He stays downstairs reading. Matilda goes upstairs while the others... well, I don't know. What were you doing? Did you continue that conversation? Because it felt like it and landed in a moot point where people said we're not happy, except Annie said, I'm happy.
I mean, I imagine that Jan should be getting ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Nige will be. Although it's worth saying, Nige is expecting that Matilda will be driving them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're getting ready to go, you go downstairs with Oscar and with Annie, and soon, a minute after, Matilda comes upstairs and alone. And I imagine that
Right.
you just drive to the place.
Yeah, well, I'll tell them I can drive you. I'll pick you back up in... I'm not going to say. I'll pick you back up in an hour. Is that enough time that you need to have a vision? Whatever you're doing.
What's that, Carl?
I don't know. An hour?
An hour? It could be less.
Why ain't you coming?
I'm taking the other two out for a walk.
Oh, good. Well done. Excellent.
I know you don't want them out with you two. Well, I'm saying to Nancel and to Janusz. I don't really
It's
want...
not a matter, Matilda, of not wanting to go for a walk with them. And I'll look at the others in the room and I'll say, if that is what you have understood, then I would like to correct it. It is that every time you are walking in public, there is a risk we do not yet understand, that those who attacked London may be looking for you. We don't know at all which of you are, if any of you, are being searched for. We do know they knew about many of the kindred in London. However, as it is, we must take two of you with us, and I was about to ask if we could find some way to make you less recognizable.
Well, we do have a room full of disguises for everyone.
Indeed.
Annie is
Carl, I'm
already...
breaking my-
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Annie is already very unrecognizable, especially because she's with like the hoodie up, her like some sort of fringe that has been combed into shape by Carl with some makeup, and she's holding a big plush shark, a big plush toy shark.
So Annie seems changed enough. So, but in the case of Oscar, perhaps something could be done.
He turns around and grabs a scarf and a hat. Very 1940s, 50s, sort
Does
of.
he look markedly different?
Well, he puts the scarf, puts the hat, and puts the collar up, in a bad attempt of a noir detective from an old thing, but he's a lot less recognizable because half of his face is now covered, and the weather is conducive of this sort of stuff. It's chilly, wind is picking up, dropping the temperature even further.
Excellent work, Oscar. That looks good.
And then you drive. You take Oscar and Annie to the place where you found Jonathan Fowler. I believe Matilda will drop them nearby, so they walk the rest of the way, and she will drive back. And we will come back with the investigation and potential of shared visions after this break. So right now it is 8:30 on the dot. So we will come back after 15 minutes, so 8:45. And if Peter looks weird, is because he's gonna now stuff his face with food, and he has only 15 minutes to do it. So wish him luck, for in part 2 he might have a stomachache. See you in 15. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Hello and welcome back for part 2 of episode 6 of Blood on the Severn. And jumping straight back in, we left it with Matilda dropping Nangisel, Janus, Carl, Oscar, and Annie at the place where they found Jonathan Fowler. And at some point, Matilda thought, I might need to get an SUV because I'm traveling, like I carry people.
Fucking Range Rover at this point.
Something like that.
So before Matilda leaves us, because she said something about taking them out for a walk.
Oh, yeah. I mean, probably she says this in the car as you were going.
I think she said it at the end of the last.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
I was saying I'm going to drop you off.
Janusz will trot round to the driver. She's probably still in the car, I imagine, and like tap on the window.
Roll it down.
So, if you insist on taking them out, be sure they are in some way covered and discreet and mindful of the threats.
Thank you, Anish. This isn't my first rodeo, but I will.
So it's not you I'm concerned about, Matilda. It's them.
I think they've been... I understand where you're coming from. I think they have been cooped up for a long time. They're probably just frustrated. I do think a bit of fresh air would do them good. But I will make sure...
Being taken from the outside is a great punishment indeed. But better that than final death, I say.
We agree on that.
And I'll leave her to it.
I make a note to chat to Matilda when she gets back, because we disagree about this, and I want to make my feelings known.
Duly noted. Okay, so you drive all the way there. It's plenty of people in the car. But
who am I pressed up against? Is it Oscar?
Probably. But it's a short drive, so it's like within your domain. And Matilda, I mean, this is an area that is like a big park around it. There's a lot of greenery around it. So she will drive you to the closest place that she can drop you, so you walk the rest of the way, which is not a long walk.
And I'll say it may be best that we find our own way back.
Yeah, if you're happy to do that, then...
We can either walk or perhaps get a taxi.
All right. No worries. Good luck.
Thanks.
So, let's go first with the group that's investigating what's going on. You walk all the way to the place. You lead Oscar and Annie. Mm-hmm. And Oscar starts asking questions about the setup of the ward that Janus had cleared out.
So Yash will kind of, before we get into the nitty gritty of it, say to Oscar, although it is in the nature of history and blood that things will always be difficult between us, Oscar, I wish to make it clear that I do not, for a moment, believe you have been responsible for any of this. And that it is my hope that we can find whoever did do this.
He looks at you, and when you clarify that you had no suspicion of him, he does shoot a glance at Nanjasel. We agree on that. I would like to know who of the clan Tremere was involved in this.
So I will, obviously, Janos spent last session removing as much evidence as he could from this scene.
Yes, and he did a good job.
So there won't be much to see, but he will be able to, I guess he will do things like, because he recognized the ward, he will do things like pace out with Oscar the perimeter of the ward. He'll point out the places where it was removed.
Okay.
He will describe, the kind of the nature of the ward, because we had kind of information from the vision, but also Janos had to push through it. So he'll talk a bit about, about that side of things.
Okay, cool. Given the description that Janos gives Oscar, you see him pace slowly around the area. He asks you to take him to the object, the small stone with the encryption that you knocked over, which of course you chucked away in a different direction, so you went looking for it. And he tells you, this is a very odd ward. And this is something that is being, for lack of a better word, custom made. It's a word that will specifically kindred out.
Yes.
It will not react to anything else. Which tells me that the person who did this has a fair knowledge of thaumaturgy. For it is done in the old ways of my clan. So yes, I can attest that the person who did this was either a Tremere or a Tremere-trained blood sorcerer, which is far more unlikely. As you would understand, each clan has its secrets, and this is one of the secrets of mine. So the likelihood of it being someone not of the Tremere are close to zero. I do know that there is one Anarch Tremere. I do not know their level of competence. I would assume that the nature of this ward is well within the possibilities of someone like a regent. But I would doubt the regent being also the sheriff of the Camarilla would be so stupid as to leave evidence behind.
Indeed. It seems far more likely to me that this is done by someone else to incriminate. But
then we're discussing the possibility of it being a Tremere that made made their way into Bristol as part of the refugees, or someone who is secretly a Tremere and has chosen to disguise themselves as someone from another clan, which I believe far more likely, for I was under the understanding that I was the only Tremere that had arrived to Bristol so far. I believe that's the extent of the information I can provide you, given what's left. I do not know what was used from the blood of the person, but perhaps I could ask of the regent a special service. See, some of the members of my clan are gifted with the sight of events past. Now, I don't know how the Bristol laws work in this regard, but he might be able to come and see more than meets the eye.
It is something to consider, certainly. Although at first I'll look to Annie and Carl. So there are other things not seen by many that may be gifted to us this night.
I see. Well, the offer is still there. As this is not Camarilla territory, I would assume that it does not fall within the remit of the Camarilla to investigate it. It falls in, well, whomever enforces the laws of all of the factions.
It is my understanding from a hound of the Camarilla that they were most pleased to not have jurisdiction for this case, seeing how complicated it looked.
Well, I could, for a boon, I could intercede on behalf of your coterie and have our regent investigate the matter further. He's someone who is a good investigator, the most competent in the arts of the Tremere, and someone who has the tools to do the job.
I thank you for your offer, and of course we will consider it carefully. I'm using maximum composure skills to not be like, you think you're built, but like, it's all cool.
Well,
Guest is making an offer, it's fine, it's nice.
I mean, it's for a boon, it doesn't sound unreasonable. Of course, it's coming from
I mean, if other people want to owe boons to the filthy Tremere, that's entirely their call. I'm going to go over to Nanjazal.
Yeah.
Just FYI.
Yeah.
So that when Carl and Annie are doing whatever they're going to do,
I'm going to keep watch over there, and that's my plan.
He will say something along the lines of, do you recall last night you asked if there was something we could do? Some way we could ask for help?
Right.
So, well, as I believe you're aware, say in a sort of softer voice, Carl receives visions.
Right.
It is my understanding that they come from the Sky Father himself.
What?
Yes, he is an oracle of sorts.
Well, then he's got to be the right route, hasn't he?
So it is my intention to pray for the Sky Father's guidance, and perhaps, if our prayers are answered, Carl will receive a vision that might help us.
Right. Well, that seems to now to be the way forward.
Boom.
Okay.
So I'm going to do a bit of praying.
I'll pray with Jan.
Yeah, maybe the gods will step in and sort this mess out.
He's never got anything wrong before, so why would that
Sure
start
thing.
now?
So Oscar will just walk out of the way, find a tree to lean against, and just wait there. as the two of you actually do the opposite and go away from the trees into the open sky and start a small prayer to Perun.
Wait, is this naked praying?
No,
No,
Okay,
no,
excellent.
no,
Yeah.
don't worry. I'll give you warning when it's
Yeah.
naked.
no
prayer.
naked praying. Not like let's
Yeah.
let's wait a minute or two, so it's like 9 p.m., 10 in Europe, so we can
Yeah.
go into adult programming. In the
Yeah,
meantime,
well, you know what happens last time. You come out of the water, all your clothes fall off. Start praying. Could happen again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this time your clothes fall off. In
I'd
the
like to just
Yeah, that's it.
move backwards in time slightly from when we
Mhm.
get out of the car,
Oh.
all the way through the journey with Annie. I'd like to, and I'm basically talking to her very quietly, very calmly. I want to hold her hand,
okay.
and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do what I know from my training. I'm going to do various kind of acting exercises that will perhaps bring us closer together, starting with just practicing walking at the same pace together, and I say something that mortals do is that they imagine breathing at the same time as each other. Maybe if we look into each other's eyes, we can get onto the same wavelength, and then I'll end up we'll talk about visions, and I'll talk about visions being happy. And
Sorry,
I'm
is this happening in the car?
No,
No.
this is while you are all walking. These are like very
Yeah.
small mini conversation
Okay,
that they're having on their
If I
own.
was observing this, I would have a response. That's all.
Oh no, it's well, he did say that he was very quietly trying to reassure Annie, and she
Yeah.
responds very well to this because you're helping her. For a moment, she forgets about the visions, or at least that's what she tells you. It's like, well, when you go back to the visions, like, oh yes, you can see her. Yes, this is about the visions. She does ask, will it help if I could actually breathe, as in, getting blush of health, and
yeah, it might help if we made the blush of health so that we could breathe together, and maybe just put hands on each other's chest to try and feel each other's heartbeat and get them synced up, which is something obviously Kindred can do.
yes,
So that we're just really on the same wavelength, and then we start.
she finds it very
start-
interesting that she
yeah.
can do it. She didn't know. Again, fledgling. So all of this is actually very reassuring. And Carl has a lot of training, especially when he has to perform a scene, a big scene, with someone that is their first time and they are starting to get, cold feet, and you reassure them. So it's a very nice and tender moment for her that helps a lot.
Good.
So you go down the ladder where the place is, and she holds your hands, looks Carl in the eye, and then she starts listening to your voice and following your steps.
Yeah, I'll ask her to follow the thread of my voice and just relax and try to see, as I will do also, having tried to kind of almost hypnosuggestively get her into a place of peace, tranquility, and openness.
Okay.
So
may
hoping that
I
can not
ask,
ruin her.
Yes. So may I ask for you to make a premonition roll, which would be resolve plus aspects that you should have in. So it's 2 rolls. So that one is for the actual premonitions, and the other one is for the sort of like the connection that you're gonna seek with her. So please make the first roll.
Okay, let me just see. So if I want to roll all specs,
Yeah, it should be under.
it's a non-API rouse roll. It's giving me. Is that right?
No, just go to powers. Discipline powers. And if you hit the little arrow, the drop down menu. Premonition has its own little. The one on the right, not the non-API. The one on the right.
The one on the right. Okay.
The non-API discipline roll, however they want to call it on the app.
Yeah, sure. So resolve plus discipline.
And
do it. I clicked it, but
Yeah. Well, no. It usually takes a little time.
I can try again.
Yes, please. And also the second one is going to
Oh,
be.
it's right. Mm-mm.
Oh, it's the one on the far right, because that's the description.
They're both on the right. They're one's below the other. Okay, I'll
so it
try
would-
to do it. I'll try to do it again. It might come up in a second.
The
It's
other
very slow.
yes, the other roll would be 2 successes. Would you like to?
Sure, I'll use some willpower.
You can only reroll 2 of the dice.
Okay.
So do a WP roll, but only 2 dice, because
Okay.
those are the non-hunger dice that did not come up with successes.
Willpower.
And
Willpower. It's giving me willpower 5. That's far
no,
too many.
2. Yeah, the WP reroll.
Oh, well, I just rolled. But it should give me some sort of roll, though.
Eventually, I think there is problems, but it's not us; it's the platform. So
Yeah,
I might reroll. Oh,
There we go.
Wow,
2 successes. So I
Great.
got 4 successes
yeah,
altogether.
4 successes. Good. Now, can you please do me an intelligence plus resolve roll? So just click
Okay.
on intelligence.
I'm reaching out to her, and I'm trying to persuade her to reach back out to me.
That's the
as
one.
well.
Resolve, because you're taking. You're using your focus, your mental fortitude in a sort of way. And intelligence, because you need to know what is it that you're looking for. So you just hit either intelligence or resolve.
1 success. I better. Oh, blimey! I better use some more willpower, I suppose.
You want to use another willpower roll? And another reroll? Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I only got 1, so I better do that. Reroll.
And
I can roll 3.
yes, you can reroll 3, which are.
So I've got 2 successes altogether. But I'm hoping she's better at that than me and might reach back out to me as
Yep,
well. So
and I was doing all those rolls while you were rolling, so not a worry.
well,
So what happens
it
is
took less time, I think, to be honest.
yeah, what happens is, looking at each other's eyes, you start like the background around Annie starts slowly lighting up, and after a moment you realize that you're in this vision, and then you see the light of day that happened during the day there, and it's as if you were rolling back in time, and you see the trees moving and people walking backwards, and all of those in a progressively faster manner until it's again dark, and then images of you in the area, mostly focusing like on the body, and before you recovered it, and then going further back until there are some figures and the body's no longer there, and then you're trying.
I'm holding Annie quite close because if anything bad happens in the vision, I want to try and console her. If I can speak to her while we're watching this, I will, and I'll just be saying gentle things to her to try and keep her from freaking out.
Okay. And it is not super clear, because you realize that your premonitions usually look forwards in time, but something that Annie is doing apparently is making them go backwards in time.
Wow. Okay.
As in, since you are touching the place that you're trying to have a vision of. This is. You have heard that this is possible, but maybe with either a lot more training, or in what seems to be like the way the Malkavian can.
Well, I'm feeling, I guess, because her visions are so much more vivid than mine, I'm kind of in my own vision, but I'm more in her vision than she's in mine in a way.
Yes, yes.
So I'm seeing the kind of slightly crazed aspect of the Malkavian visions where maybe things aren't quite right, or
Yes, and exactly. You feel the warmth of the sun in your skin at some point as a tender and nice. And you see that some of those visions are actually very vivid in sound and very tactile, which we immediately would bring your memory to the one she had about burning and how that would have been terrible to feel. They're not super knitted, super
if I feel that heat, if I feel the heat of the burning, then I am going to focus on the warmth of the sun and the life that it gives the world, and try and kind of empathize that to her rather than the horror of being burned.
You don't see her burning as you did in the previous vision. You do feel that the clocks, the hands of time has been dialed back until a moment in which the body was there, and then further before until it wasn't there. And the figure that you see walking to this place with Jonathan, it's a man perhaps in his 30s, late 30s, probably early 40s. Very striking features, very, very good looking, very regal, with a sort of a stubble of a beard, and not short hair, but not quite shoulder length. It's sort of like a little bit of a wild hair, neatly taken into a very short ponytail on his back. And the way he walks, the way he moves, bring memories to Carl. But it is when you hear the voice, that very deep voice, saying, "This is the end of the journey, Jonathan," and sinking his teeth on him, is when you realize that this man looks an awful lot like Roger Smith, Baron of the Anarchs. Of course, the moment the teeth go in and Jonathan starts letting himself go to the thrall of the kiss, you feel the distress in Annie.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows where this is going. So she stops the vision short.
Okay.
As in, like, she doesn't want to see the actual diablerie taking place.
No, okay. Well, I mean, if it was going backwards or forwards, and it kind of we kind of went back and then we went forwards again.
Mm-hmm.
And as she breaks out of the vision, I'll break out of the vision too. I'll hug her even closer, and I'll say to her, "You did so well. You did so well."
Who is that man?
I think I might know who it is, but I need to talk to everybody else about this before we start throwing accusations around.
So I'll definitely be trotting over if it looks like they're done.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Obviously, Skyfather has delivered, right?
Yep.
Skyfather always delivers.
Yeah,
as you know.
exactly.
Yeah,
I'll,
it's like DHL.
No one
isn't
knows.
it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll say,
Oscar stays
were
where
you
he
blessed
is.
with a vision?
Sorry?
I'll say to them, were you blessed with a vision?
We saw a vision. Annie might say we were cursed with one rather than blessed.
I'll say.
She looks
I'll
distressed.
Say, Janash, it's just like you said.
Yes. Yes, but let us hear what they have to say.
What did you say? Just like Giannis said. What did he say?
Well, You better tell us what the vision said first, and then we can tell you about this afterwards.
You know, Carl, that I believe you are singularly blessed.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, no. Oh, I remember. Yes, of course, because your hocus pocus takes credit for when I see my visions, doesn't it? I remember.
Wait. Hold it there. Because for starters, you're stepping over a line. But second of all, there is no other way to explain it. Because that's what we were just doing. Is talking that way, and then you had a vision. So there's no... That's...
Nanjazal, I am struck
I think you're
by...
mixing up cause and effect, really.
This is not the time to have this discussion. For there has been a vision.
There has. However, I'm not going to tell you what I saw because Nanj really needs to sort herself out.
What?
I don't follow.
If she is blaming the Sky Father for this, then you can probably find out what the vision is from him.
Well, I'm waiting for you, Carl. Sky Father gave the vision to you, not to me.
No, and to Annie as well. I'll
and
say
to Annie as well, of course.
I'll say, well, we need to talk about this later.
Very well.
You feel Annie tugging at your sleeve, Carl.
Mm-hmm.
She says,
"Yeah,
is it bad?"
I don't think it's good or bad. I think it could be bad for certain people, so I think we need to keep it secret. That's all.
Is it
and
bad for me?
No.
Would I get in trouble?
You won't get into trouble. All we'll do is we'll say, if anybody asks, and I'll look at the other two, that I had this vision and you didn't. We won't mention you in this.
She looks at the two of you, Nanjazal and Janice.
I'll say, and you know what I think, is that you and I are good friends, and I've always kept your secrets till now, haven't I? So I think you can trust me to tell me all about this whenever you see fit.
Yeah, Carl saw
I will
it.
glance at the shark when I say this.
Yeah, she's holding her shark and says, Carl saw the vision, so he can tell you whenever he thinks is most prudent.
Seems like Carl got an attack of being quiet though, doesn't it?
Paul, if it's something that we should keep secret, we shouldn't be talking about it here.
We're saying we're friends. We don't need to keep secrets between friends, do we?
So, not between friends, no.
So let's go.
But I will glance in vaguely in Oscar's direction.
Oscar is nowhere within earshot, by the way.
I don't trust him anyway.
Oh, okay.
Him and his Tremere ears.
Yes.
Tremere ears.
Mirrored.
And I'll say to Annie, what you have is a precious gift, Annie. So, and we would never dream of betraying you or placing you in danger. You have nothing to fear.
It's known that I have the odd vision, so it's not beyond the realms of possibility that I had one about this. So we can keep you out of it.
True.
I think that's the easiest way to deal with this. Now, I know from my experiences of having had a vision with you before, twice now, that your visions are very different to mine. They have a different feeling. They're a different provenance almost. And I think that's to do with our clans. But you are looking into the way you have visions. I understand that you feel that they might be a curse, certainly. Whereas I've always I've had bad and good ones, and so. But this one is definitely helpful.
What was likely to come to pass, like you did with me walking through that circle?
As I say, I think we need to be together without, and then I'll kind of also like move my eyes up towards where Oscar, my friend, is, and say, and it is important that Matilda is with us when we just discuss this as well.
Yeah, I got words of her. You're right.
Very well, then we should move somewhere else. How do you intend to return?
Well, we can walk, or we can.
Yes, a walk would be pleasant.
Yes.
And Annie just holds Carl's hand as you start walking out, and she shortly will start chatting about anything else. She asks you about Susanna Willoughby, who is she, and the conversation you had over the phone, because it's something that might be related to this investigation.
Sure. Yeah. And I'll talk to her a little bit about that, and then I'll maybe just play some little games with her. Maybe some word association games. Tell a sentence of a story. The next person tells a little bit of the story, just to try.
Okay.
I
Something.
should say
minds
I will also be engaging her in conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not like talking over Carl or whatever.
Just part of the conversation. And yes, at some point it's going to be.
I'll be driving it in a different direction than the one that Carl has just outlined.
So Janusz would also talk to Annie, but I suspect that if Annie and Carl are walking, or Nanjal are walking faster at any point.
Oh, we're not leaving out behind.
No, but there might be natural points where they are,
ahead.
You know, like, so I imagine the Janusz is going to like dip in and out of this conversation, because often when you're because when you're walking along, one person's slower, you often forget when you're chatting, right? And then then you're like, oh yeah, we've left them behind, and then you have to wait. So I imagine it's going to be a bit like that. But there is one point, if I may, where if Annie and Carl are ahead, and Nanjal has come back to get Janusz,
almost certainly,
which I assume happens quite a lot.
Yeah.
There is a point where he will say something to her, and he will say, "Perhaps it is confusing to you why I have not confronted Carl more directly when he makes such comments."
I mean, I did think of it.
Do you recall your own experience of when your eyes opened?
Of course I do.
And do you recall that you had to be ready for that to happen? Was a journey that you went on. And had I come to you and tried to push it upon you, it is a humbling thing to be spoken to by the gods. And it is difficult to interpret their wisdom. If it helps Carl to imagine this is purely a thing of the blood and something he can control, if that allows him to manage these nights, then I would not take that from him.
Right.
In the fullness of time, of course, he will come to realize his place as an oracle, and a glorious night that will be. But until then, he still serves. He has had a great gift, and doubtless this will allow us to proceed, and we should be thankful to the gods for their assistance.
All right. Yeah, that does make sense. I asked Annie to come and chat to you, by the way. I don't know if she has yet.
Annie?
I do. Yeah.
Ah, good. Well, no, she has not yet, but
Because she was, I think I was saying to you before, she's decided to stay here.
good.
So
That is much better. I was concerned that she might get somewhat lost in Scotland.
well, we'll see how it happens.
So your fervour is commendable, Nanjal, but there are some battles that are best fought with time.
I know what you're saying. It's just these people are my friends, right? I would want them to have the same thing what I have.
I understand your anger and your desire to share the gifts, but people must be ready.
All right. Well, I will bear that in mind. I will.
I have confidence that you will.
Okay. And the five of you, for some, like, maybe 80% of the time, you forget that there is an Oscar with you. No one has engaged in conversation with him at any point.
I mean, I'm keeping in my eyesight.
Oh yeah, yes. He never leaves your eyesight. If he needs to be walking in front or behind or in the middle or whatever, he does as he's told. Annie is the only one who seeks to have any conversation with him, and therefore Carl is brought into that.
Sure.
He of course notices that the only person seeking any sort of interaction with him is Annie.
Well, when she speaks to him and I'm near him, I will say, Oscar, my friend, I'm sorry that I have neglected you so badly on this walk, but as you can understand, my main focus has been with Annie because of the way that she feels about her visions and that I have made her basically have one. And I'm trying to persuade her that they're not all bad always. So I'm very sorry that I have not looked after you as well in this our domain.
He looks at you and he glances over his shoulder to see where Nangisel and Janus are, and since they're not within earshot, he says, "My quarrel has never been with you, Carl. You have always showed deference to all of your guests."
Thank you.
And I have asked around. You are well liked by many, within and without our faction. So, if I have seen removed or unresponsive at times, I want to assure you it's not my desire to cause you, and in particular, any strife.
Thank you.
You are the only one who has treated us in the Camarilla equally. But
I would hope that I would treat...
Your reputation says that you will treat everyone that way. And that speaks very highly of the Camarilla. Having someone as you, like you, as one of its bastions. And Annie says, you always have so nice words. Like, very nice words. Did you know that he was like a librarian? And
Oscar?
Yeah. He worked in London in a library. It's like, yes.
Oh. Have you visited our library, Oscar?
No, I've not been let outside headquarters. As tonight's
on the nights
conversation has made very clear.
I absolutely understand. But there is the odd night that you are able to travel, and you travel with other members of the Camarilla who aren't me. So I thought perhaps...
No, we're taken into Camarilla territory to be fed. But also to interact with the rest of the sect. Introductions are being made. People come with questions. We rarely get a chance to go out. A lot of the members of the Camarilla of this city either knew of someone or had someone in London, as you yourself had someone.
Yes. Well, actually, a member of your clan, Annie, who is also normally Camarilla, is seconded to the library, Hubert. So there is a possible connection there.
We have met many honors in our targets as well.
Mm-hmm.
People who have sought permission to travel to Camarilla domains so we can be asked if we know the whereabouts of the people they knew.
Yes.
So every time we leave your domain is to sit for hours on end after we're fed, answering how we don't know where the people we're being asked about are.
I am so sorry that you have been a party to such frustration in your only moments of freedom from the house that you're cooped up in.
Now you can understand Clarence's rage at the denial of a simple walk under the night sky.
Absolutely, yes, and for an outdoorsman such as himself, particularly.
Yes. Well, alas, this is our situation, and we of the Tremere, we endure, and we of the Camarilla, we prevail.
Yes, and as we saw this evening, members of Clan Gangrel have another way. Although, compared to the reputation of the clan, I did think that Clarence did rather well to keep his temper under wraps, shall we say.
Well, that was not him not being wrathful.
Quite.
That was him being absolutely critical of the treatment he had received.
Under control is what I mean. Under control, which his clan does not have a reputation for.
Absolutely. He is quite an interesting character.
He is.
Let's see. He has ideas of staying here in the city, so hopefully
Yes,
it'll work for him.
He has said, yes. I hope so. I wish him nothing but well, as I do you all.
And Annie turns and says, "Did you know Oscar wants to go to Tokyo?"
Tokyo? Interesting. Have you traveled to Japan before?
No, but there's an important chantry there.
Oh, right.
So that is my desire. It has not been... Well, I just placed a request. But
good luck.
It'll take a long time before anyone is allowed in after what happened in London.
Of course.
Especially someone from London.
Mm.
And this is the first time you realize that Oscar is actually someone. It's like he's just not the random Tremere you've been assigned to, you know? This is a guy who works in a library, who is good with words, who has been subjected to all of this stoically without even complaining. But still, there is that sort of rejection he feels for the situation he is in. So after the conversation, after sort of that interaction, Carl keeps the conversation flowing into other more pleasant topics, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I'll involve both Annie and Oscar in those.
Okay.
Make sure I keep them both engaged. Annie, because I want to keep her mind away from the vision stuff. And also talk to him about, well, it's not a medium that I would normally use, Oscar and Annie, but perhaps even make up some sort of song or rap about our evening with them.
Annie is very amenable of you doing any of the singing and things like that. She will gladly hear it. Oscar is not inclined.
Okay.
Oscar is not super musically inclined.
Well, no, I was thinking with Oscar more, I'd be asking Oscar about rhyme words that I should use and things like that.
That is something that you can engage with him, and you'll quickly find that he's a philologist and an etymologist. Like, he is really good at that. So when you're looking for like different words for rhymes, he will start listing from the top of his head, and it sort of and actually that becomes the game itself. You never quite start singing because you say like a part of the words and ending in one, like a part of the lyrics ending in one word, and then you bounce it off to him, and he starts just giving a list of things that rhyme with that in the different types of rhymes, like phonetic rhyming or precise rhyming on all of those, and then it becomes a back and forth, because then you choose one, come back, and
I'll chant them in an easy way so that Annie can join in with.
She'll chant them with you.
Yeah.
Especially if you choose a word that is funny sounding.
Right. Okay.
Because then she will say that word louder than the other words, even if it's just a random word. It's like, that's the way she plays.
Cool. Excellent.
Now,
I've got lots of words in like runcible and so on. Yes.
Yeah. So before of all this, Matilda had a very quiet drive back to HQ, where when she comes in, she would go downstairs and find Clarence sitting down in the folding chair next to his bed, and the bag still on the bed while he's reading. Sorry?
What are you reading?
Oh. The only thing that I can find around. The Prince, Machiavelli. Is whatever.
The exciting one.
Well,
we'll maybe get you some more books.
Please.
Don't want you reading that one.
I'm more of a Hemingway kind of guy. And he throws the book in the bed. Like, well, if reading is reading. At least keeps my mind off things.
Speaking of keeping your mind off things, you want to go for that walk?
Yes, absolutely.
Come with me. And I'll go upstairs and fetch Laura as well and let her know. Or ask her if she wants to.
Clarence goes with you. And both of you ask if she wants to come to out for a walk. And she looks at Matilda. And then at Clarence. And then back at Matilda. And you can feel her thinking. But she comes in and she says, yes. Yes. Oh.
All right.
She gets her coat, she gets her stuff.
Yeah. Matilda's gives a little smile at how much she's deliberating over it. I will actually give them some, because I'm remembering what Janusz and
So from the
Carl
costumes and
said.
stuff.
I will give them some things to wear. Maybe like a sort of noir coat or a hat or something that.
Yeah. Actually, Clarence is. You see that Clarence is very good at cheering Laura up.
Yeah.
If you go into the place and you mention stuff, he would grab like a really weird beanie with a pom-pom on the top. You know, like those that are knitted very thick with long tassels on the sides. And he would grab one and he would approach her. And she, you can see her giving him the look of, oh no, you're gonna do it. You're gonna put that on me. And her not being too sure, but he's like, you know, making faces and stuff while he's doing it, and she's trying to contain a smirk at least or a laugh. He puts it on, pulls it down that covers her eyes, and he goes like, "Yep, almost as beautiful as you are with eyes," and then pulls it back up. Now there you go, you're beautiful. And now you see that this could be.
Yeah, am I getting vibes? Like
the vibe?
is this
No,
flirty.
No. This is not flirty. This is friendly. This is two people that found somehow a way to get along with one another in a very specific way, because it's sort of like the way they do things. And when they go out, you can see him, you know, blush of health, getting the blood through him, and then him, you know, exhaling and going like, oh, it's not cold enough for some smoke. He pulls out a cigarette, starts smoking, and looks at you with a very nice sort of like a cricketer's hat. So lead the way. By the way, Laura, if anyone asks, I will hold your hand and call you babe. She said, don't you dare call me babe. I'll call you sweetheart. Whatever. She will start walking ahead of you, sort of on her own, in whatever direction you start walking.
Yeah, I'm happy. I can stay in between them or wherever.
Oh, no. He, like...
he's next to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because he turns and says, well, have you thought of a reason for me to stay?
I mean, I think it's a bit of a silly reason to go just because your feelings are hurt, to be honest. I know it's deeper than that, but it does come across a little bit like a pride thing.
It's a respect thing, Matilda. You cannot expect to have someone disrespect the group of us every time they step through the door.
Would this change if Nanj offered you an apology? Would you accept it? No, don't laugh. It might happen.
I like your enthusiasm, and
I know her a bit better than you. I think I can get one out of her. And a genuine one as well. She might mean it.
I don't see her being the apology type of person. If it's a heartfelt apology, who am I to say no to that? But that's not happening, Matilda. You do realize that.
Okay, all right, we'll see. Look, Clarence, I like you very much. I think you're a smart guy, and I think you, as much as everything in me is saying I don't want another Cammy in the city, I do think you're. I think you're legit, but I also think that you need to stick this out a little bit more. If it's true that you have some mysterious Camarilla contact that is willing to give you support, and they'll continue to give you support whenever you go to them. But I would very much like if you gave our coterie and our domain another chance just for a little while.
I could certainly think about that.
That's all I'm asking.
Carl has been stellar in the way he has treated us, but
Yes.
but I think people would be unfair to him, pinning it on him being a good host to his Camarilla friends. And that, I think, is unfair. It does not speak of the character of the man. He has been the most gracious host. Janice has been distant, but in no way has neglected his duties as a host. Strikes me as lordly, even. That kind of air that some people think they have. And
he has a way he thinks the world should be.
Exactly. Lordly in the way some people think they are lordly. Because of whatever. Age, experience, power, position, money. Doesn't matter. Either of those will make you feel that you know more than those around you. Which can make him a little bit patronizing at times.
I would agree with that. I think his heart's in the right place, though. I mean, I don't know.
It's not ill-intended, but it's still undesirable. Especially for people who are running
and Nan,
from death.
What do you think of her?
If it's true that she treats everyone like that, I am absolutely astonished that she's still alive.
Matilda laughs a little bit. Like,
but when you laugh when you turn, he said that as a completely serious statement. How does someone in our society get away with that? Not many people, and not for long. So if you do care for your friend, you might want to give her a piece of advice, because sometimes someone at some point is gonna lose their shit.
I've seen it happen before. This isn't my first Nan Giselle damage control situation that I've been in.
And I believe you. The problem is, what will she do when you're not around? Or worse, what will she do when she rubs the wrong person the wrong way? And there is no time to react. Again,
I mean, she can take care of herself, but
I can take care of myself, and you have proven that you can take care of yourself. Even little Annie, even though she's helpless, she's not really. She knows how to make friends. She knows how to make friends fast. Probably because she's very naive. Probably because she's pretty. Probably because the way she is rouses something in people that make them want to protect her.
Annie and Carl both seem like the kind of people who make others better for being around them, which is nice.
Yes. And as long as she is around people, she will not be helpless because someone will jump out to protect her, to help her out, until she can stand in her own 2 feet and hopefully help others.
I'll take what you said under advisement, because if you've noticed that Nanj is fairly difficult at times, and you're not wrong in that. But she is coming from a place of wanting to secure herself, her safety, and her domain, her friends. She is, as far as I know, it's all to protect herself. And I think in a society like we are, I don't blame her for wanting to protect herself.
Well, historically, the most atrocious acts have been committed with the people with the best intentions. That shouldn't be an excuse. I understand it might not be coming from a bad place, but still.
I'll chat with her, and maybe you'll get that apology. I can't make any promises.
If I get that apology, I'll definitely stay, because it seems more unlikely as with every step we take. Hey, Laura, don't get lost. We're turning right here. Come. And he just makes her go back half a block, only to go like, would you rather go left? And turn back in the way she was going. But now you caught up with her. Now he's trying to bring her into the conversation. He's not massively successful, as in she doesn't want to do any chit chat, but she does enjoy just walking around and looking at the place, turning around, turning her head in, seeing, where she is and how things are.
I will, as we're walking, and we're sort of talking a little bit, having moments of silence, I will look around and just check if we're being tailed, or if I feel like there's any kind of vibe of thing.
Since this is something that you were going to be doing throughout your walk, which is not going to be a massively long walk, but you will be doing it over that. So it will be, I am inclined to say resolve plus awareness.
Oh dear.
Well, this is Matilda, who is easily distracted as things like
That's
shiny.
Shiny. Oh, look at the stars.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Okay. Resolve and awareness.
Yes. That is 2 successes.
One. Oh, 2 successes. Yeah.
Yeah, one in your non-hunger die and one in your hunger die, which is good.
Okay.
No one tailing you, and actually you do manage to see the odd person out that might be like sitting on a shadow under a tree, a couple, probably a couple. I mean, they're kissing, so there's something at least acquainted, I will believe, but but nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing walking behind you. You look like a group of people. Well, actually, you and Clarence look like a couple of friends walking next to each other, and Laura looks like a normal lady walking around the street on an evening, as if she was going somewhere to meet someone.
I'll take him around for about an hour, and then I'll loop back to the headquarters and wait for the others.
Okay. As you return, actually not long after your return, the rest of the Coterie arrive, because they would have spent about an hour, and it's now much closer to midnight. Actually, just passed. By the time everybody's back in the headquarters.
And Annie and I have written this song with Oscar's help on the way back. And it goes like this. It's kind of a kiddie song because it's for Annie.
Okay.
We've had a vision, we've seen the sights. We went back into other nights. We helped each other, Annie and me, when we set our inner eyes free. We set our inner eyes free. Saw the sun, did Annie and me. Saw the backward people walk. Heard the backward people talk. We were detecting, we looked for clues. But mainly we just enjoyed the views. We helped each other, Annie and me. And we set our inner eyes free. And then the chorus repeats a couple of times.
And as you can see, like Annie's half laughing, half singing as she says it. Clarence finds it at the beginning, like, has a face as, what? But then when Annie starts singing along and does like those like offbeat vocals, he starts like laughing. Laura even finds it like super cute, and by the time you finish the song, and you have Clarence and Laura giving a little bit of an applause. Their spirits seem to be lifted. Laura definitely is in much better spirits after an hour long walk, mostly left to her thoughts and Oscar actually says, I think we should have used other words, but I like the ones you chose. And sort of like winks at Carl and sort of like mouths thank you.
Well, we had to run them past our co-author. That was
yes, exactly. But he does say a thank you, and he means it.
Okay, good.
So, how about the rest of the coterie?
All right, I'll go up to.
Sorry, I imagine instantly when that song was going on, Yanis would have been bobbing his head and tapping his cane.
Yeah.
With the...
Oh yeah. You're
singing very loudly out of tune.
Yeah.
I'll go to.
I will have remembered enough of the tune to put it to guitar at some later point.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to ask Naj to do that. Sections that we need the thrash metal guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what this song needs.
Definitely
some
more heavy beats. Yeah.
It needs to,
You were saying,
But I think-
Alice?
I was just saying at the end. I just say. So I'm assuming you had a vision.
Yeah, we need to talk about that, but we should probably do that. I was waiting until we were back with you before.
Oh.
We talked about it.
Oh, and you see the faces of the others going back to, oh shit, yes, I mean, situation is not great. Oscar does say, I believe I need to have a word with my regent, so if it's at all possible for either of you to make arrangements around that, so I can relay the information that I have given you tonight.
Yes.
And
sure
Carl knows how to get in touch with him without using electronic medium when he goes back to his haven and communicate it to someone that passes along the message. So.
Can I then grab Matilda?
Yeah. I mean,
And say,
there are conversations.
we need to have a chat.
All right. Outside.
Or take a walk, right?
Good luck to both of you.
What?
Well, you always need luck, don't you?
Thanks.
So, I mean, I'm assuming we can go
Yeah,
outside.
we'll go outside and have a walk around the block.
Yeah.
What is it?
Did you let him out? Is that where he was tonight?
I did. We had a walk. And what?
I can't say I'm impressed, right?
Right.
How on earth is this supposed to work if we make decisions and then you make other decisions without even talking to us and you undermine them?
No, but actually, fine. I'm sorry. I did tell you. I did say I was going to go on a walk before you guys left. I
Yeah,
said
but
I was
you
gonna
told
drive
them
you
before you even discussed it with us.
because I had
It makes
to.
me look like a tosser, doesn't it?
And well, perhaps you're acting like one.
What?
Nanj, you pushed him to basically leave us. And I'm
What?
saying,
He got his hair off, so what?
pardon?
He got his hair off, so what? I mean, it's not going to be the first time, is it?
No, it actually
You don't
hasn't
like
been the
them,
first
and you're
time.
like-
This has happened before, if you remember.
Or it's like that, is it?
No, I don't want it to be like that. I'm just saying that and she lowers her voice and she says, we are already in some pretty deep shit, having some diablerie in our domain. I don't also want to be the coterie that's driven out their wards within 24 hours, those two things happening at the same time.
Firstly, it's more than 24 hours, and secondly...
Right. fucking 48 hours then.
Sorry. And secondly, how do we know they're not responsible?
Well, we don't, but how do we know that anyone is responsible? We can't...
Well, someone
like-
knocked him off, haven't they?
Do you want to know what I think?
I do.
I think if Jonathan Fowler went to that spot, if there were two sets of footprints and they went to that spot, I don't think it's very likely that he went unwillingly. My thought is probably he's gone with someone that he trusts and someone that he likes. So, I mean, I don't imagine that's going to be a random fucking refugee. I don't
Well,
imagine
you know
it's
what?
going to be Artakis or
You
Anak.
what?
Probably Camarilla, if I'm honest.
You got enough gifts to the blood, anyone can look like they're going willingly. That's all I'm saying. Just because he weren't dragged out kicking and screaming, don't mean he won't willingly.
Fine, we don't know. We don't know. And I think it's a mistake to think that the 4 people under our care are guilty, and I think it's a mistake to treat them as such. And I think they've noticed, Nanj. They know that you don't
Well, I
like
should
them.
bloody hope so. That's what I've been aiming for.
You're making it.
I mean,
Right.
look,
Right, if that was the case, then we shouldn't have had you talk to them at all. Perhaps it should have just been Carl and I, because clearly we're the only ones who can be diplomatic.
I'm just saying, they survived, whatever the hell it was, while everyone else in London got killed, yeah? And I'm the only person who thinks that's even remotely suspicious. Even if there's people who come here to finish the job, like Yam thinks, yeah, then ultimately, they can't be trusted. I said from the outset, the best way to keep us safe and them safe was to put them in a box. No one wanted to do it, and now here we are, right?
Yeah, all right.
I take
But
your point. I take your point that he's act off, right?
Yes.
But
Nanj,
what?
I just don't think it's a particularly good idea to have him swanning off to whoever. Who did he want to go to teach and say, I'm not happy with the coterie I'm in, and get sent to another coterie? You said it yourself, they've spent a couple of weeks in our domain already. I think it's in all our best interest to keep them here, really. Because otherwise they're going to another one of the multi-faction domains, and they might, if they're fucking hacked off enough, then they're going to tell them what we've been up to, and they're going to tell us, they're going to spill our secrets. I mean, I'd rather keep them where we can see them. And I'd actually quite like if you apologised.
What? You're having a laugh, aren't you?
No, actually, I'm not. It's not that hard. It's 2 words. Have you said them before?
Oh, don't be funny, right? I can do that. I can apologise just
you?
fine when I'm in the wrong, which is, by the way, not now. Yeah, but actually, in point of fact, they are not trustworthy.
No.
I know that for a fact. You know
I'm
why?
asking. Fine, why?
You know why?
Why?
The young girl
Yeah.
walked in on her yesterday. Guess what she's doing?
What?
Phone. She's got hidden in that shark of hers. Right? So that's the first thing. She has somehow managed to do this. it does not exactly paint them in a shining fucking light, does it?
No.
If
No,
you
but-
think it is gonna stop Teach from losing his shit if I gives an apology to that prick in a suit, then I'll do it. But I'm not gonna mean it, just so you know that.
I can't make you mean it, but I'd like you to apologize. I also, for the record, don't want you to apologize. I'm not saying you need to apologize for thinking that they're untrustworthy and for being suspicious. I'm just saying you need to apologize for being really fucking antagonistic every time you walk in the door with them. It doesn't help things. Yeah. And then if one of them turns out to be a diabolist, then you can fucking say I told you so.
It's difficult not to be antagonistic when everyone else is being a prick. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, you know about that, wouldn't you?
What? What's wrong with you?
So I'm
I'm
sorry.
grateful we're mates, right? Or you've been
Yeah, I am.
Right.
All right, thank you. Just one apology, and it will smooth it. I know I've talked to him. It will smooth it all over.
Oh, you told him I was going to do this, did you?
No, he just no. I said, what would it take for you to stay, and we had a chat about that. And he mentioned that maybe if you apologise, that would happen. I didn't fucking orchestrate it.
Really? Well, it fucking sounds like it.
Well, he said you have to apologise, so why didn't
You
you?
sure you're a true Ventru anarch, right? And not one of them, because this sounds like top fucking class manipulation, if you ask me. Anyway, if I'm doing this, I'll go and get out of the way.
All right. Thank you.
Don't thank me, because that makes it sound like I want to do it.
And with that, and between anger and laughs of two friends that are like trying to iron some of the kinks out, you have a Matilda starts receiving buzzing on her phone. It's an unknown number.
Pick it up. When I know that Nandra's out of earshot. Goodbye.
It is most hard to find a word with you, Matilda. You recognize the voice of Obasi Kikelomo, Primogen of the Ventru. What would it take to have you as my guest tomorrow evening?
Time.
I enjoy your company most of the evening, but perhaps by midnight I'll get Caleb to pick you up.
See you then.
Wear something pretty. I will be taking you out. And with that, we're gonna draw our session to a close. Thank you very much for this, for tuning in to Blot on the Severn, the looking to be most inter-coterie antagonistic chronicle set in Bristol, England in the year 2012. Thank you to my lovely players.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Carlos.
Glad you enjoyed it. Thank you very much to all of our viewers and our listeners in the podcast. Thank you to all of our patrons in Patreon. And if you are looking to support us, that's the way to do it. And right now, thank you to The Mitch for being able to do wonderful stuff around the tech. Super smooth. Now you can feel the difference between a fledgling tech ghoul as myself and a freaking elder, you know. Everything ran beautifully. If there was any glitch, it was my fault, and there were none. So because he wouldn't let me touch stuff. But I mean, regardless of that, now we're hoping to to get things a little bit more ironed out, and as we settle into our new format, and I hope that this is working for all of you. Please leave us comments if it doesn't, or if it does, because all feedback is good feedback. Unless you want to be a prick, but then we'll send Natch to look for you. Until next week, then. See you next Monday for episode 7 of Blood on the Severn. Until then, goodbye. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.